here what we are trying to do is, it's a standalone project. Here I will have a bean class and I load all my spring jars just to create the container. Okay, so everything and anything in spring, all the configuration is done through XMLs. Okay, so here basically what we are trying to do is, here we are creating the beans root tag. So what this basically does is, it creates a container of beans. Okay, so container, it is nothing but a repository of your bean or the pochos. Okay, so what happens is,
Okay.
here what you are telling is, here this is the root tag of beans, and I hope you know about XML. So this is a namespace which says that
Yes.
I'm going to load the
DTD is it DTD?
DTD. Is not this
This is called
specific.
as the DTD
Yeah, this,
XSD.
yes,
XSD.
yes. So this is a namespace where we load the beans and the XML instance and everything. Okay, and this is my root tag, and inside my root tag I'm going to like map all my beans. Okay, so
Okay.
here what I'm doing is, I'm creating a bean for a class called as student. Okay,
Okay.
so this student is my simple Pojo. So as you see here in this student.java, I have a single attribute called as a name, and I have created the getters and setters. So we'll see what
All
is
right.
this dependency injection, and while we see that, we'll see what is a getter setter injection, what is a constructor injection, and everything. Just for now, we'll see how to create a bean. Okay, so
All right.
as you see here, we there are some attributes which we define for a bean. So those attributes, the main attributes are like the ID. So ID is nothing but a name with which you uniquely identify a bean. Okay, so the name of
Okay.
the bean should be given in ID, and this name should not be repeated at any cost. Okay, so the name should be unique, and then we say what class this bean is being denoted, or for what class this bean is being created. Okay, so that
All
attribute
right.
is class. Okay,
Okay.
so just as a shortcut, if you have created the bean for the class properly, and if you press control and you keep it over this will navigate, this will take you to that particular Pojo. Okay, fine.
Okay. All right.
So and then, like we'll see what is the init method and destroy method. Let's leave this for a while. Okay, so these are the like the basic property which needs to be there to create a bean, the ID and the class. Okay, and then what does this property mean? This property, it is nothing but the attributes whatever I have for this particular Pojo. In this case it is the name.
Okay.
Correct. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the attribute, and for this attribute what I'm doing here is, I'm giving a default value. So whenever a bean is being created, and in that bean I have a property called as name, and by default it will have a value called as Saravanan Manikam, which is my name. Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine. And then like leave this, what is this bean class init student, I'll tell you what is that. Okay, so this is how you create a bean. Okay,
So
fine.
we can have n number of beans in the XML. We can have n number of beans.
Yes, you can have any number of XML, means you can have any number of beans in the same XML. Okay, fine. So you have
All right.
declared a bean, correct? So now
Yes.
how to use the bean? So we will write a invocation class. So how to create a bean object? So there are two ways of creating a bean object. One way is through the bean factory. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and the other way is through the abstract
Application
application
context.
context. So what makes the difference? Why we have this bean factory and the application context? Any idea?
Uh, for application context, I think we prefer application context because uh, there are certain certain things. I'm not sure, but I read that application context is preferred over bean factory. I don't know
Yes, yes.
exactly what.
So Bean Factory is a legacy way of creating the bean. Application context
Mhm.
supports more things, like application context supports listeners, params, and many context specific uh, attributes which you can add it. Okay. So if you take real-time applications, what happens is there will be many context params and many context listeners which you add to your application. Okay.
Context parameters, you mean by
See,
context parameters you
yes,
mean
if you
the
like,
parameters which are passed to the constructors or setters, or whatever
uh,
parameter is
no,
called.
actually, that one is injection. So context parameters,
Okay.
what I would say is like the listeners, if you're trying to use some other extra features, like if you're trying to integrate it with a struts application, or else
Okay.
you're going to add securities, or you're going to add any
Okay.
OAuth authenticator, or if you're going to add any SSO, you're going to add any
Okay.
site minder kind of a thing, which is an explicitly a different technology, or else if you're going to use a JBoss deployment, something like that. So these features,
Oh.
these are like the value adds, or the what to say, additional features of an application, correct? So to listen to
Mm-hmm.
those features, you need some listeners. So these listeners are
Okay.
configured through XMLs, correct? So for
Okay.
using such kind of functionalities and everything, application context is the best way. So that is why
Okay.
it is always better to go for application context. Okay,
Okay.
fine. So as I have given here, so I have given the both the ways to create the bean. So if you see here,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to load your bean factory, you are loading the application context XML as a resource. Okay,
Okay.
fine. So here, what I'm
All
doing
right.
is I'm loading the application context through my class path as a resource. Okay, and this resource is being added to my bean factory. Okay, fine.
And sorry to interrupt you. We can hard code the path
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the
sure.
XML bean factory
Yeah, yeah, sure.
as well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Ah, fine. And then if you have loaded your resource into the bean factory, what happens is it will read all the beans inside the application context, and it will load everything into its factory object. So what
Okay.
happens is you can get the bean directly from the factory object using the get bean method, mentioning the bean name, and this is case sensitive, and it should be exactly as how you have named in the context. Okay, so what happens
The
is
name of the ID, right? The
yes,
name of the ID.
yes, correct. Okay, so what happens is once you have created the object, obviously it will be of object class, correct? You need to typecast it.
Yes.
So you will typecast it, and you will create the bean. So once you have created the
Mm-hmm.
bean, what I'm trying to do here is I'll tell you why I've created three objects, and why I'm doing all this stuff. Okay, so just on the intro level, what we are doing here is, here I have loaded the application context as a resource, and I have loaded the resource into my bean factory to get the bean. Same way, here what I'm doing is, to my abstract application context object, I can load my context XML directly through my class path. Okay,
Okay.
fine. So I've loaded
Okay.
the application context. Now I can get the bean using the name. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So these are the two ways how you create a bean object. Okay.
So you have created three student objects just to
I'll
show
tell
that
you.
only one object will be returned due to
Yeah,
singleton
yeah. I'll tell you.
default value, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you what all things we'll see next. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Fine. So what is our next thing? So we'll see what are all the life cycle of a bean. So
okay.
any idea what are all the life cycles of a bean?
No.
No. Okay. It's a very binary answer. So a bean has three life cycles. So it will have a init, It will have a service and it will have a destroy.
Oh, destroy. Okay, okay. Init service and destroy. Okay,
Yes.
that's
It's
that's
not.
for servlet as well, right?
Yes, it's no way
Servlet as well.
different from servlets. It's same as servlets. So we'll have three
Uh,
lifecycle methods. Okay. So here, what we are trying to do is like, so if a bean is being initialized or it's in the init stage, if you want to do something, okay, so you
mhm,
can do that. So that is called as the init, and service is nothing but whatever you have written within that bean for that bean to process,
mhm,
that is called as the service. And while it is being destroyed, if you want to do something, that is called as a destroy. So these are like the life cycles of a bean. Okay, so here
okay.
what we are trying to do is I have created a method called as init, correct? So
Mhm,
leave about the naming convention. Just to make it simple for the trainees, I have created in the same name for the method init.
mhm,
Okay. So
okay.
if you see here, what happens is if the bean is being initialized, what it will do is
Mhm,
this method will be called by default. Okay,
okay.
so that, so why we need this particular method is like, see, I'm having a bean like the rates or the conversion rates or the processing rates, so something like that. So what happens is before creating or calculating the rates, we may need to check what is the present market rate, today's market USD is
Yes.
different or yesterday is different. So on that cases, what we do is through the init we can hit a service and we can get the current rate and we can process it
Mhm,
before going for the actual implementations, correct? So
mhm,
for those kind of things, we can use the life cycle methods with which you can process the bean very effectively. So that is why we have mentioned this attribute called as the init hyphen method. Okay, fine.
So is it mandatory to have the init
No,
method and destroy method?
not at all.
Okay.
It is not mandatory, but just to give an idea that this is being
Mhm,
called, have created the init and the destroy method. Okay.
okay.
So in the real time, everything and anything, whatever I discuss here, this will be useful only in the real time examples. Means in the real time case
Okay.
studies, if you go for a development, you may
Mhm,
not be I have never seen this. You should not tell this answer, right? So that's why I always
mhm,
have these things being included in my code. Okay. So
okay.
that is why we have created the init method here. So if you mention
Mhm,
a method name here, this should be exact as what we have mentioned here. So if you can see here,
yes.
I'll just invoke this particular class. You can see this init method is being called. So you can see, right, bean is going through
Yes.
init. So that is what
Yes.
is the use of a init method. So similarly, if I'm destroying a bean, so I'm explicitly destroying the bean. Okay, the bean gets destroyed only when your application context goes down, which means you are bringing down your server if it is a web application,
Okay.
correct?
Okay.
So you can see here, so I have mentioned the destroy means destroy method as a destroy, correct? And I have declared my destroy here. You can see, right, destroy.
Yes. Yes.
So if you want to if you want your destroy being called, what happens is you need to implement the interface. We have a disposable bean. So I hope you know marker interfaces and these things, right? We'll
Yes, marker interfaces don't have any method in it. It's
yeah,
just an empty interface, right?
yeah, like that. We are tagging this class as a
Mhm.
disposable bean, which means it's a destroyable bean. We are
Okay.
saying that this bean is destroyable. So if you are implementing that interface, you need to override this method called as the destroy, correct?
Okay.
So
Hmm.
that is what we have given here. So what happens is once this bean is being destroyed, this method will be called by default. Okay,
Okay.
and then
And what do you mean by at override and because those are annotations, right?
yeah,
But
those
I'm
are
not
annotations.
familiar with
We
it.
are just telling that this method is being overridden.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And then we have another interface called as initializing bean. So here if you see init, it is being called once the bean is being initialized, correct? So if you
Before,
see here,
after, okay.
um,
Mm-hmm.
so what I'm trying to tell is, see, in our application, even in our project, what we do is, before calculating the price, we may need to set some local parameters, correct? Like
Okay.
you need to set with this ID, means you need to hit the service with this ID, this password.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things you need
Mm-hmm.
to hit, and this is the return you will get, or the return
Mm-hmm.
type, or the outcome you will get. So something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what is the property setting. So we have the attributes,
Okay.
right? The local variable,
Mm-hmm.
the properties whatever we have. I'm setting it with the default value, and then once the bean is being initialized, I may hit something and change it, correct? So that is
Okay.
what is the use of the initializing bean interface. So initializing
Okay.
bean, what happens is, before the bean is being going to the init stage, what it will do is, it
Mm-hmm.
will wire all the dependencies and the injections. It will
Mm-hmm.
do all the injections with the default values,
Mm-hmm.
and then it passes the bean to the init. That is why you can see first this is being printed, that is after property set method. So if you are implementing this bean, this method has to be overridden. Okay.
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 So what do you mean wiring the dependency? Can you explain
Yeah,
that?
see,
What is it?
if you see here, this is my bean, correct? And this is my
Yes.
property. Name is a property, and I'm
Yes.
going to give a default value for this, correct? So this is a
Yes.
dependency. Okay.
Okay.
While this being is being initiated, I want it with a default value.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So that is what is initializing or wiring. Okay. So we will
Okay.
see wiring, auto wiring, everything in detail in the later part. Just keep this in mind, that you are
Okay.
injecting the default values or the dependent values to your beam. That is called as wiring. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Are we
All
good
right.
now?
All right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. I thought actually, I thought that that is called as an injecting things. So wiring is some different concept than
No, no, no,
injecting.
that's also same. So we'll see
Okay.
DI as a separate topic, dependency injection as a separate topic.
Mhm.
It's a huge discussion. So we'll see that. Okay.
All right.
So if you see here, so this is, that is only one bean. So I have
Mm-hmm.
given the init method here and the destroy method here. Okay. What if I
Mm-hmm.
have some 100 beans in this?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is, like, in each bean you need to give this init method, destroy method in all the beans, correct? So instead
So
of doing,
can't we declare it right at the top or
yes,
at a
yes, that is what I'm
default
telling you.
being?
Okay. So what we can do is, we can give it in the root context. Default,
Mhm.
you can give it like this. Default init method equal to this. And default destroy method is equal to this. Okay.
So for init method, we have one interface which you're implementing and you're overriding that method, and for destroy also you're
Yes, yes,
overriding it, right?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
All
yes.
right.
So that if you have given the default method within the beans root tag, you don't want to give in all the beans this attribute. Okay.
Okay.
Fine. Okay.
All right.
Fine. Okay. Then we may need to see the scopes of a bean. Okay. So what are all the, what do you mean by a scope?
Scope means its validity. It's from this point to this point, it should be valid, as in within the curly braces, the scope of a local variable will reside within the scope of a method. The
Mm-hmm.
scope of a parameter is within the parenthesis. The scope of a global variable is throughout
Mm-hmm.
the class.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
at which time it is legible, a
Okay.
legitimate variable or anything. That's
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, fine. So that is the scope of Java. So here everything is based out of the container. So in, if you take
okay.
Spring Framework, the scope, everything is
Mhm.
based out of container. So if you take, as you can see in the screen, these are the scopes. Okay. So singleton means any number
So
of,
by container, you are meaning the XML thing,
yes,
XML beans.
yes, correct.
Okay.
So if you take any bean, if you're trying to create any instance in the Spring container, if you have declared the scope as a singleton, it will always give you the same instance. Means it's a singleton class. Okay.
Yes.
And then if you are declaring a scope as a prototype, what happens is it gives you separate instances as of how many instances you are trying to create, which means it is a normal pojo, means how many objects you create, how that many instances it will give, the container gives you. Okay.
All right.
And then like a request session and global session, these are related to HTTP, like a web MVC.
Web.
Web,
Web.
correct. So as you know, request, you know, right? So once you hit a link, what happens is a
Mhm.
request object comes from your client to your server or your middleware. Okay. And your middleware process this and it gives as a response to your client. Your client is nothing but your browser, correct? So till that
By
point,
by by middleware, what do you mean? By
what
middleware, what do you mean?
middleware
Hello?
here I mean is the Spring application. Means what you do is you develop a Spring application, you deploy it in a web server or an app server, correct?
Mhm.
So that is what I mean as a middleware here.
Okay.
Okay.
I asked that because I work on middleware applications, so I thought that it is somewhere related to that.
No,
So
no, no.
I,
Okay.
I work on JMS and other stuff, so
Okay.
it's middleware application. I
Oh,
thought that it's, what our
oh,
application does is basic authentication and passing of
okay.
things through
Okay.
JMS queues and brokers. So I
Okay.
thought that.
Okay. So and then session is like a the session object. So if a particular user has logged in, he will have
Mhm.
a session live till he logs out, correct? Or else
Okay.
the
Yes,
session will be
yes.
expired. So the scope of that
Hmm.
object means that bean is persistent till that session becomes invalid or it is invalidated. Okay. So that is session
Yes.
scope, and global session is like a global HTTP. It's a open scope, means it's a global scope. It will be available throughout when the application is up. Okay, fine.
And so all these web scopes are for application context. They
Yes, these
are
are
not
only
for.
for web MVC. It is not for standalone applications. Standalone applications, it is only singleton and the prototype.
No, I'm asking request session and global session scopes
Mhm.
are for Spring application context thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not for Bean Factory.
No, no, no.
Okay.
It's for application context. Okay,
Okay.
good. So what is the default scope? It is always singleton. Okay.
Okay.
So to explain that only, what I have done here is I have created three objects. As you can see, right, in the invocation class,
Mhm.
I have
Yeah.
created three objects of student,
Yeah.
and I have printed the instance of the three objects. You can see, right, I have given just dot
Yes.
to string. So what happens is
Mhm.
it will just print the instance. As you can see here, all the classes, all the objects are of same instance. You can see,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, which means it is singleton.
Singleton.
Huh? Correct?
Yeah. It's
So
singleton.
have I mentioned anything here? No, right? I haven't mentioned
No.
the scope. Correct? So by
Yes.
default, the scope is always singleton. Okay? So if I want to override the scope, what I will do is I will give
Prototype.
prototype. Sorry, prototype. So what happens is if I run the invocation class, so you can see, right, each object
Yeah.
is a different instance. Hmm?
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
the advantage of going for a prototype scope. Okay. So prototype,
Uh,
it always gives you a separate instance for each object in the container. Okay. Got it?
it creates different objects. It creates different objects
Instance, different instances.
or different instances. That's what you're
Yes.
saying.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like these two are the scopes which are relevant to the standalone applications. We'll see the scopes which are related to the web during the web MVC sessions. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
fine. Then that's what we have seen this. The example is being explained here, and then we have seen the bean life cycle, right? We have seen what is an init, destroy, initializing,
Mhm.
and all those stuffs. And
Mhm.
the topic what we are going to see now is the post processor. So what does it mean by a post processor? So post processor means, see, I have some beans, correct?
Mhm.
So for all the beans, I have defined separate init method and destroy method and everything, correct? So instead
Mhm.
of that, what we can do is I will write a class which will process my bean before initiation and after initiation, so that my bean is processed clearly before it is being doing its service. So if you can see here, I have created a class called as init student, and it implements the interface called as bean post processor. So post processor, what it will do is it will take my bean, and before that bean is being initialized, I need to perform something. I can do it using the post processor before initiation, and after my bean is being initialized, I need to do something. I can use the post processor after initiation. So it is like a, you can use it as a validator. See, using the init method, you have processed the prices or the dollar rates and everything, and you have brought your bean. So before bringing it to the original service, you want to check it it has been processed clearly or not. And we have written some service which will send a mail to the user stating that this is the dollar rate today and you want to process it or not, something like that, as an alert that this is the price. Or else you have set a limit that after once the dollar rate has reached this level, I need to do something like that. So if you want to have such a functionalities, you can go for a post processor. Okay, so what happens is
Okay.
you will just include this post processor as a bean into your beans root tag. Okay, so what
Okay.
happens is whatever the bean which is being initialized within the beans tag, everything goes through my post processor. Okay,
Oh,
got it? So that is what you can see here. So every object, whatever the bean, every bean will come through my post processor along with its name. Okay, so if I want to write a condition here, what I will do, I don't want to process all the beans, I need to process only certain beans.
you want to process only certain beans, and you want to write uh,
Hmm.
functionality to it.
Hmm. So what I will do is I'll write a
So
if bean name equal to this, I will write everything within the if block, correct, within my
yeah, and
before initiation. Hmm? Yeah,
right.
you want to
So
say something?
so yeah, I'm a bit confused that this bean post processor class.
Okay.
This class, why are we writing it separately? Or why can't this be added as a block to our student.java? That is the driver class, or
Yeah, that's what. See, in the init you have performed something. Okay.
yeah.
So in the init you have performed something with which now I need to validate it. Okay. See, in the init
Hmm.
I have done something. I need to validate it, correct?
Hmm.
Before performing
Yeah.
some service, correct? You can
Yes.
understand.
Yes.
Yeah. So see, if I'll tell you one scenario. See, uh, I need to hit a service, or else I need to hit a data service with some inputs. Okay, so those
Hmm.
inputs, what I will do is I will feed it using my post processor before initiation. Okay,
Hmm.
so everything will be a common one, correct?
Hmm.
See, if you are going to use init and destroy method for each bean, then in each bean you need to write it. You need to write it in the bean separately, correct? You need to write the
Yes.
implementation here. Instead of that, what we can do is we can write everything in a common class, correct, in a single class
Okay.
in the
Okay.
post processor. So what happens is before initiating my bean, I will call this particular method, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that the this you can see like this being printed
Mm-hmm.
before initiation student bean, okay. I can write
Okay.
whatever I
Okay.
need to do
Okay.
before initiation
Okay.
and then it goes through
Okay.
my init method, correct.
Okay.
So my
Okay.
initiation is
Yes.
being done. Then how I will validate it that it is a proper initiation or not, correct? So for
Yes. Yes.
validation or like after processing that we will use the after initiation. So it will be like a
Mm-hmm.
common block, one point of control, one point of action.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for
Okay. I
you
got
can
it.
understand?
Yes.
So that is why we go for a post processor. So
Mm-hmm.
for adding this, it is very simple. You create a class, you implement
Mm-hmm.
that interface, bean post processor
Mm-hmm.
interface, and you create a
Mm-hmm.
bean for this post processor. You just
Okay.
include it within your bean stack, correct? So
That's it. That's it.
that's it. So
Oh.
what happens is whatever the bean it is being created, it goes through my
Mm-hmm.
before initiation and after initiation.
Cool.
You can see, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the use of a post processor. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I making
That's
it
fine.
clear?
Yeah. It's yeah. Thanks. Thanks a lot. You have been making so much effort, and things are quite clear as of now.
Okay. Okay. So that is regarding the spring beans. Okay. So whatever we have seen till now, what I would require is like you should have some hands-on in it, so that you will have a better understanding whatever we have seen till now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that's it. What I have planned to have a discussion for today. So just go through this. You'll find
Mm-hmm.
some good tutorials and good sessions in tutorials point and Java T point and sites which have some good content, handy contents which you can practice. And if you want to
Yeah.
reach me, you can reach me at any time. I'll ping you my mobile number. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes.
you can find it in the chat. Actually, it's not open. Just a moment. So
So, what do you recommend? You were saying that prior knowledge to J2E is required. So, how
yes,
can I go about it? Because
yeah. You just go through what is a web framework, what is servlets, and
web framework.
these things,
Okay.
so that it will give you a good idea uh, about.
Okay. I will.
Okay. So
Yeah, I will. I'll do it straight across. I'll do it by
okay.
tomorrow. I'll
So
go
I've
for it.
picked my mobile number. You can reach me at any time, and you can drop a mail to me to my mail ID, whatever I have dropped you a link today, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can
Yeah. Yeah.
reach me through my mail, and we will have the session daily by 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is fine, or 8:30 is fine for you.
Actually, if you can make it a bit early, it would be fine because you know
Okay.
I'm working for a US client and I have to go from 9 this
Oh,
morning. So,
okay. But the problem is like I'm engaged with the morning batches also. Actually, you see, I'm taking the morning batches in the classroom. I have a classroom training from 8 to 10 IST
oh,
morning,
oh, oh,
and
oh,
at 10 o'clock I go to my shift. Actually, I'm working in TCS. So
okay.
10 to 7:30 is my working time, and 7:30 I come back to my room and I refresh myself and I will start your class by 8 o'clock. So that would be convenient for me. So I
I,
don't.
I I'm working with CSC if you know about that company.
Okay, okay.
CSC.
Oh,
No, you haven't heard about it, right?
yeah, I haven't heard about it much.
Yeah,
Okay,
Computer Sciences Corporation. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Anyways,
So
so
yeah,
at
sure. We'll
tell
have
me.
it by 8 to 9 daily, and we'll try to cover it. Okay. So feel free
All
to
right.
ask me any doubts you have at any point, and Please feel free to give your feedbacks and everything. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sure. Sure, I'll do that. And this session will be from Tuesday until Saturday, right?
From Tuesday to Saturday. Okay, fine,
No,
fine,
no,
fine.
I'm just asking you because that was the schedule which was shared earlier. So I'm
Okay.
just asking
So
you.
I was not aware of the schedule. Actually, it was planned. It was pushed to me today only. Like this
Oh,
request came to me today only. Actually, I don't go for much of online trainings. I always prefer classroom trainings. Uh, Came to me today, so I'm not aware of it. I'll just have a discussion. I'll have a word with the team, and I'll let you know. So it goes in the normal
all right.
weekdays. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
okay.
That's
So if
perfectly
you
fine. And
want,
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Your session has been very good, very nice, very informative, and you have told me what to do when I'm free, and so that I gear up for things and we go in at a fast pace.
yes, sure, sure. Yeah, I would hope to have this rapport till the entire training program. So have a
Yeah,
hands-on. Reach
yeah.
me anytime if you have any doubts, and hope you have a good learning.
Yeah.
Fine.
Bye.
Yeah, fine.
Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.